Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today I'm going to talk about toxic relationships and how eventually toxic relationship drains us out and makes us a waste. Yes, it makes a waste out of us. Yeah, so as we know that we go through a lot of permanent and temporary relationships in life. Yeah, and we experience a lot of things, we learn a lot of things, and it's absolutely a natural process, to experience different things, both from permanent relationship and from temporary relations as well. And toxic relationship is not just amongst lovers or amongst workmates. Toxic relationship can be seen or can exist anywhere, be it worker and employee, lovers, family, parent, caregiver, anywhere. Yeah, and the funniest thing is that some of the time toxic people know that they are toxic and they are being toxic to the other person, I mean who's the victim. And there are this other group of people who just don't know that they are toxic themselves, because they were never exposed to this idea that a person could be toxic, so they are unaware. So there is the bunch that is aware that they are toxic, and there is this bunch that is just unaware because abuse was normalized in their family, in their growing up, and they think it's normal. Abuse is a part of family. Being abusive is okay in relationship. There is nothing wrong in being abusive. And so these are the two segments of toxic people. One, they know, and the other one, they are unaware that they are toxic, because they did grow up seeing that abuse is a part of any relationship. Relationship comprises of abuse as well. Yeah, so if you see, when we have a toxic relationship, as it is, if there is relationship, there is love. Be it any relationship, there could be fondness, there could be love, there could be some chemistry is there, whether it is a parent and a kid's love, brother and sister's love, lovers love, employees love. There is some amount of that affection, that bond that is there in any kind of relationship. Yeah, and if the relationship is healthy, definitely love is there. But often what happens is that when we are in a toxic relationship and the other party is toxic, and we happen to be the victims. Yeah, we happen to be the victims. We start visualizing a good image. We start visualizing a good image, and we work towards it, thinking that one day the person whom the toxic person that we are associated with, or we are in love, or we are in relationship, would become okay, would become healed, would become fine, would become good. But it doesn't happen, because I can fix my issues, I can fix my flaws, I can fix my problem, I can change myself. Can somebody else change me? And the answer is no. Until unless I don't take an effort to change myself, nobody can change me. And it's absolutely normal, and it's absolutely how it should be. So when we are having a toxic relationship, we often get so invested in making the abuser realize our worth, our love, and we begin to go to any extent to transform that abuser, I mean whoever we are in relationship with, or it could be a family member, anyone, and we try and change them. And we often think that if we will endure, if we will sacrifice, if we will bear it, one day this person will change and realize my true worth, would understand what I am wanting to tell that person. So a lot of these complex dynamics grow inside of our head, and we are so invested. We are invested with time, emotion, money. We are so invested that there comes a time when, as it is, we know that time flies like this, but there comes a time when it's too late. It's too late, and we are drained. We are drained trying to please. We are drained trying to fix, and we are drained trying to make things better. But some things are not meant to be good. Some things are not meant to be better. And if you see any kind of relationship, it's a two-way process. So both have to engage and both have to equally reciprocate, and that is how that relationship flourishes. But with dysfunctional relationships, it's just the opposite. Yeah. And over here, the abuser is aware at times, the abuser is unaware, and the victim in the relationship goes on trying, goes on, his or her, even bows down, on his or her force to please, and go to any extent to make the abuser realize that he or she is worth, this victim is worth, and they should realize, they would realize one day their true worth, the victim's worth, and they would transform, the abusers would transform. So it's quite a if you would say, it's more or less like a push and pull kind of a thing that happens in a toxic relationship. Push and pull is there. The victim goes on because the victim somewhat has some feelings, loves, the victim goes on, enduring with a hope that one day the victim would be seen and heard, and the abuser is going to transform. So we reach a point of, we reach such a point in that relationship where we begin to forget, ourselves as well. Yeah, we begin to, forget and let go of our self-worth. We begin to forget our, own self. We stop practicing self-love. We stop taking care of ourselves. We stop taking care of our likes, needs, and desire. We just get so invested because we are unable to change certain things in a toxic relationship. We tend to go on doing more and more and more with the hope that one day everything is going to transform. And in that course of those multiple tries and attempts, we start forgetting ourselves, and that is very painful. I have seen, or rather I should share one of my experience. I really wanted to fix my toxic family, my parent, but I couldn't. In a way, I became dysfunctional. I became lost, and I just lost my own sense of self because I was so invested, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I went on doing, but now I realize that my parents were trying to, in a way I would say that they were using their validations and approvals as a bait. So they never used to give it often, and that is the bait that I was seeking. I used to do, I used to even work harder for that bait, for that reward, but they used to control that reward because they knew that if they would control the reward and they would not give the reward, I'm going to do it more, I'm going to keep on doing it. So yes, time flies, and we come to such a point in life where we realize that we lost a lot. We lost a lot of money, emotion, time, and we are just empty. We are empty, we are lost, we don't have anything positive or substantial to look back and fall back to. We are so lost. We are just lost in amongst everyone. We are just lost. We are lost, and we forget how to even manage and control things, and put it back to normal. So yes, toxic relationships can really be devastating and can really be painful. And when we get into, or when we are born in toxic relationship, or we are surrounded by toxic relationship, what happens is that we are so invested that we don't even see. We are, as it is, having emotions towards the abuser, and we are, as it is, so invested that we forget the difference between good and bad. We don't even realize that we are in a toxic relationship. Yeah, we think that it's normal, it's okay, and that begins to become a new reality for us. And but somewhere or the other, we being victims in a toxic relationship, we have that void, we have that emptiness, and that emptiness is there, but we try and keep filling that emptiness. But no matter how much we try to fill that emptiness remains. And trust me, that is that gut, it tells you, your instinct, your inner self indicates you that it's not all that good, there is something wrong. But again, we are blinded by those bonds, those conditioning, those love, those feelings, that we overlook that feeling, that feeling of that void, that blankness, that emptiness. We overlook that. And trust me, when we overlook that also, that is the time we start beginning to lose ourself. Yeah, because we are resisting. Something in us is telling that it is not right, and we are even ignoring it. We are resisting, and we are ignoring. Oh, it's okay, let me do what I'm doing. So a toxic relationship, first, makes you feel empty. Second, it makes you abandon your own true self. Yes, we get so invested in the other person. I mean, we get invested in the abuser in a toxic relationship, that we, us, I, me, it doesn't matter. All what matters is them, they, he, she. That is what matters. Their happiness matters. And we begin to mold ourselves as per their purpose and as per their needs. As it is in a toxic relationship, the abuser constantly keeps the victim reminded about his needs or her needs that needs to be met by the victim, and the victim is regularly reminded of the role that the victim has to meet the needs. Yeah, and so it's quite choking. I see majority of the relationships are toxic and dysfunctional, and people really hesitate even to talk about it, because they grow up with this realization and this kind of a conditioning that abuse is a part of relationship. Yeah, and that void is there. I think everyone, anyone or everyone who's in a toxic relationship, they feel that emptiness. Though they have a relationship, they might be in a relationship, but the emotional availability from the abuser is not there. The victim is there. The victim is constantly doing things to be seen and heard and to be emotionally validated. The victim has a lot of this craving of being emotionally validated, but he or she doesn't get validated, and it goes on. We go on trying, we go on doing, we go on pleasing, till the time when we are lost. And after we are lost, maybe some setback wakes us up when it's too late. So yes, toxic relationships really destroy you. It could be a toxic mother, toxic father, toxic lover, toxic brother, sister, toxic employer, toxic friend. Anything toxic really destroys you. It actually pulls you apart from your true self, and you just become a doer, you just become a provider, you just become someone who's there to serve, someone who's there as a slave in that relationship. So when that thing comes in, it destroys us. Some people are really destroyed, and they are lost, and they have a lot of this resentment, sadness, and a kind of an invisible pain that they go through, because they kept ignoring their that hunch, that gut feeling that something is not right. They kept ignoring it with the hope that things are going to change, but things don't change. It only changes when we put a full stop. For example, if I am a toxic person and I've started observing my traits and behavior, and somebody else is also saying that I'm toxic, then I start working inside, and I can only fix myself. No one else can fix me. Yeah. So yes, being in toxic relationship is devastating, and it really scars. If person is in the toxic relationship for long or for life, it really scars them. It scars them to such a limit that it becomes irreparable. Yeah, it becomes irreparable, and the person is just lost. The person might be physically there, but that person, the one who's victimized, the one who's the victim in a toxic relationship, is just lost in I mean, I don't have right words coming in my mind, but they are lost in that void. It's all empty, and the feeling is as if they're just lost. They are purposeless, they are lost, and they have a routine that they need to follow. They are following that routine, but they are unable to feel good despite of following the routine, because deep down in their subconscious they know that something is wrong which they are overlooking. Yeah. So a lot of this disconnect happens, and they are just detached from their true self, and they are not happy. These victims, over a prolonged period of time in a toxic relationship, they are just not happy. They might acquire things, they might get validated on and off, but overall that mental mental peace, that inner happiness, that joy, that a flow of endless joy is not there. And that is the most devastating part in a toxic relationship. So according to me, people might say, or people might even choose to agree or disagree, but any relationship that is toxic, or if you are in relationship with a toxic person, be it anyone, you can't fix that person unless that person doesn't chooses to fix himself or herself. And the best thing, if you start realizing and if you start identifying, it's better to come out of that relationship. It's better to cut ties with that relationship, because there is no point in being a relationship and losing your own self-worth, losing your dignity, losing your mental peace, losing your own self for being in a relationship. There's no point for putting these things in jeopardy, where you just lose yourself. You go on running that rat race just to please the other person. Relationship is an ongoing process between two people, and both have to play an equal role, whether it be a parent and a kid, whether it be lovers, whether it be anything. And our society also, it's funny that our society also legitimized all these kind of abuse, that it's okay, a little bit happens, that this is what they say, a little bit happens, why to worry, it's okay, just forget it, they are elder, they can say. So these conditionings, let go. Why let go? Abuse is abuse, toxicity is toxicity. Just because if someone has white hair, I need to endure that person's toxicity. Just because someone is more elderly to me, I should bear all that abuse? No. So this is a saddest thing, where everything just chokes us, and we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves for someone else. Yeah. Instead, we should be ourselves, and the one with whom we are, they should be themselves. There shouldn't be a kind of a submission or enslavement. It should be an equal game between the two, and that's what relationship is. So yes, this was a little bit of my thoughts on how toxic relationship destroys us, and destroys us to such an extent in cases where we are unable to stand back again stronger. It takes time, it takes a lot of willpower, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of clarity, but everyone can fix and patch up and stand up again, but it takes time. And for some people, their life reaches an end being in a toxic relationship. And it's sad. I have been a victim of toxic relationship, and I know I had toxic family members. I was in a toxic love relationship, so I know what toxicity does to you. Toxicity ruins you. So say no to abuse, say no to toxicity. And if you feel that someone is toxic, and you are not happy, you should cut your ties, be it whatever relationship. That is the only way. We can't suffer. We can't keep on suffering just to look good. We can't keep on suffering just to make others feel as if everything is okay with us. We can't go on suffering just to please others. Yeah. So prioritize your mental health, prioritize your wellness, prioritize yourself, and prioritize your peace of mind before prioritizing other people and other relationships. So yes, this was all about how toxic relationship makes you a royal mess or a waste. And yes, I did lose, but I did wake up quite early, so I could fix and I could restart. Some really ignore it, some really fall for it and give in 100% into such toxic relationship, and it's devastating. It destroys. So yes, think about it, and in case you would like to share in some experience, you can always comment below. Please do like, share, subscribe this channel, and lots of love and blessings to all of you. And say no to abuse and say no to toxicity, be it anyone. Yeah, prioritize yourself. Take care. Bye.